Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Nasir bhai, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Jaffer. And yourself, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good, Alhamdulillah. So, Jaffer, we thank you for taking out the time. This is our fourth call now, where we're sort of just educating myself and then obviously our viewers about what's happening at Gulshan Farms. I think these videos are really valuable, so thank you for your time. Um, just start by what's been happening on the farm. What's the latest? Any new developments? What's been going on?
Um, we are just developing our new shed now. Plus, animals are coming in I think 20-25 days. So uh, that's the new thing which happening. The shed is the new thing. It'll take 2 to 3 months, 90 days to finish. That's what's going on.
So, how long does it normally take? How big are these sheds?
This one is measuring 100 feet wide, 350 feet long.
And how many animals will that be able to hold?
Uh, Uh, 360 animals.
SubhanAllah. So very big one. So that's the biggest one we have at the moment.
Yes.
And are we going to build any bigger than these, or are these the sort of
No,
maximum?
we'll just that's a maximum size which we are going to build. Uh, we are going to build two of those.
Okay. All right. And will that be enough then to take care of our 10,000, 1,000 milking?
Yes, and then we have to build a dedicated calf shed and close-up shed. That's all. That's all. That would be a smaller 100 by 120.
Will that be in the on the other land?
Now over here.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
On the other hand, then we'll start constructing slowly. Uh, that's heifer sheds. Those are not that expensive because we don't have to have all the concrete work, flooring work. So those are cheaper to build because
Okay.
we are just going to keep growers and heifers over there until they give birth. So once they are in milking, we'll bring them over here.
Okay. SubhanAllah. Fantastic. So, Joffrey, you were saying that some animals are coming are arriving in 30 days or so. Um,
Yes.
who's arranging this shipment? Why are these animals coming and how many animals are coming?
So we have just booked 30 animals. Very specifically, breed is Aussie Reds. We don't have those that many Aussie Reds at our farm. Uh, we wanted to have Aussie Reds over here, plus few Holsteins with higher genomic values for breeding purposes. So these 30 animals would be coming through HRM. Uh, we have collaborated last year with them on bringing in the ship. So this year they're bringing in two ships. Next one is coming in January, but we have not placed order for Gulshan Farms specifically because we don't need those many animals. If we have some sort of um, heifer investment program or we design something like that, then we can import the animals. Otherwise, we don't need it for the farmer this year.
Okay, okay. So we have 30 animals coming. So that brings us nicely to what I really wanted to talk to you about today, which is I'd like to, in the half an hour, 35 minutes that we have, go into some depth about Australian animals compared to Pakistani animals. Why are we pursuing the model that we are? So that our audience and myself, we can start to learn a little bit more about the actual nitty-gritty of the farm and some of the decisions you're making. So that'll be really helpful for people to understand, I think.
Okay.
So the first
So if we
before
start
if I
from,
can
yeah,
if I
yeah.
can just maybe phrase it by saying, just give people a recap about what our model is in terms of genetic animals. So, because some we might have some new viewers, just to what is our Gulshan Farms business model and farming model?
Okay, so we are basically a breeding farm plus a dairy farm in Pakistan. We are pursuing a model. Basically, there are a few indexes to follow the breeding pattern of cows all around the world. Either there is an index known as DPI, BPI, or net merit. So we are following BPI index, which is based in Australia because we are importing animals from Australia and keeping them over here. Why we are going to buy animals from Australia? Because animals from Australia have or they go through the same conditions as Pakistan. It's pretty much hot over there as well. And they are hardy animals. Plus, the model of breeding they are following is longevity milking instead of UK breeding model, which is US milking model, which is milk and milk. So instead of getting milk out of the animals, we try to keep them for a longer life, so we can get more and more progeny for them, and then sell it in the end.
Oh, I understand.
So that's why we basically follow the Australian breeding pattern, and that suits our environment as well. Why are we not? Why we didn't start it from buying in Pakistan? That would be the next question. Pakistan didn't had that many animals, and if someone had purebred genomically tested animals, because we went to buy the premium animals genomically tested, registered with Holstein associations of Australia or Jersey Association of Australia. So we got the pedigreed animals. No one had it in that many quantities, so we could buy over here. Before us, there was only one farm doing this thing, which is our friend's farm, Huss Farm, HRM, and you have obviously visited over there as well. So that's the model which we are following, and we are doing pretty much good till now.
Okay, that's interesting. So we are almost at the forefront of this new, you would call it a new wave of farming in Pakistan, which is, and when I came a few years ago, I remember we had a tour around Pakistan with the representatives of Genetics Australia, Jersey Australia, and Holstein Australia, and we were sort of educating people. Why is it? I mean, so compared to, I guess some people are going to be wondering, like, what is so valuable about these animals compared to Pakistani animals themselves? Like, why are we spending this much money and investment? There must be something lacking in the Pakistani indigenous animals.
Obviously, genetics. Uh, Australians and basically not Australians, the Holstein associations and the Jersey associations, they have worked on the genetic pattern of these animals. I'll just give you an example. A good Holstein, pedigree Holstein, gives us around 10 to 12,000 liters of milk in one lactation. Compared to the breed we have in Pakistan known as Sahiwal or Cholistani, they just give around 3 to 4,000 liters per lactation. So there's a huge difference.
Massive difference, yeah.
And they haven't worked on the genomic part of these animals. Plus, we don't have registered bulls over here. There's no association. There is association of Sahiwal breed now, but they have to work on genetics to get the desired results.
And what's the difference in price between a Saiwal, for example, and one of our genetic animals?
Look, if we buy a good Sahiwal animal pregnant over here, first lactation, it would cost around a good animal 500,000 rupees.
Hmm. What,
On the
what
other
what
hand,
what's that in dollars?
that's about 1,600, $1,700 at the
Okay.
moment
Mhm.
with the exchange rates. On the other hand, we can get these premium animals for $4,000. If we get them open, they are cheap as well. So these animals are way better than the breed we have in Pakistan.
Okay. All right.
And Holsteins and Jerseys are used for dairy purposes all around the world. The basically minimum level of animals we should go for a milking for a dairy farm or a breeder's farm. That gives us so many options to increase milk yields, plus have a very good and steady breeding patterns.
And is there a difference in, it might be a silly question, is there a difference in the actual taste of the milk or the milk produced based upon the animal? Like, is the
Okay,
Saiwal milk
now
taste different to a Jersey's milk or?
yeah, obviously with every breed, there is some sort of difference in milk. For example, Jersey milk is more Jerseys produce more fat than Holsteins. and Sahibals. So there's a taste difference in both of them. Plus the term we use is ECM, energy corrected milk. So what we feed them, we get that we have to measure. So we
Okay.
cannot feed an animal unlimited amount of fodder because fodder is expensive. We have to see what are we feeding to get the milk
Okay.
in terms of revenues. If the animal is not profitable, then no use to keep it.
Hmm. So massive
So we
amount of
have to be
works.
very precise to get the animals. Even in Holsteins, there are different sorts of breedings going on. If we get animal with a lower stature, they'll eat less and produce more.
All right. Right. Okay. So it's a constant tweaking then of the animals as you're breeding them in order to get
Yes.
the. Hmm.
So that's why we get into genomic testing. In genomic testing, we know where to tweak, what bull to use in next generations to get those things corrected.
Okay. So let's take people through a little bit of a journey then. So let's say from the start, you're shipping an animal from Australia. Who's picking these animals? So based upon the genetic
Mhm.
data that they have, who's picking it? Who's making the decision that the 30 animals you bought, for example, they were the ones?
For example, if I have to buy animals, the procedure is a bit different. But either I can go over there and select the animals myself, or uh, like we have our partner over there, a director. He goes and sees the animals, get us the genomic list, and we select the animals based on genomic data. And then he, out of those selected animals, and he goes over there, he physically selects the animal. They don't have any sort of injuries or any sort of physical harm to them. So if the animal is okay for us, that's purchased for us. And then obviously there are different shipping companies to bring the animals to Pakistan.
Okay. And these animals that you're buying from there, are you buying them from big farms that have been around for centuries? For
Generations. Yes.
okay.
Yes. We have few specific farms which we have over the years tried and tested, and their animals are really good. They perform good. So we just go with them. There's a new one which we have not tried yet, but the animals are coming in this year from Moxie's. Moxie's is one of the biggest farms around the world. They have 27,000 animals, uh, big farm in Australia, and we are going to get the animals from there as well.
Wow. Okay, 27,000. It's amazing how big these some of these operations are.
Yeah, that's really big.
Hmm. Okay, so you've picked these 300 animals based upon genetic data, based upon the physical nature of the animal. Once they get to Pakistan, the genomic element of it doesn't stop, right? So you're continuing that process. Is that correct?
Yes, obviously. So whenever an animal is born at our farm, after 3 months of age, we take their tail sample and send it to Zoetis to get their genomic test conducted. So after that, we get the genomic testing report, so we can further pursue what sort of bulls we have to use to get the next progeny better than this one.
Ah, okay, interesting. And then the bull that you're picking, obviously, who's going to provide half the genetic data for the new calf, are those bulls in the U? Is it natural or is it artificial insemination? And where are you getting the bulls from?
Obviously, there are some bulls which are being born as well. But we also get the straws AI. We do artificial insemination to be very precise on what sex we want. So we use sexed technology to get our animals pregnant 90% of the time. So we need heifers to grow instead of getting more and more bulls. So we get the animals, these sexed semen from Australia, Genetic Australia. Uh, we choose the semen which we want, and then we import it from Australia.
Okay, fine. So the benefit of using artificial insemination, sex semen, is that you obviously as a farm want more female heifers rather than bulls.
Yes.
And
So as long as we are a growing farm, we want the animals to be pregnant with sex semen instead of being pregnant with conventional or bull. So we prefer sex semen to get more heifers at our farm. And sex semen ratio is like they guarantee 90% of the animals if we are uh, going to run insemination. through 100 animals, 90% of those animals would be female.
Okay, interesting. And then I think you explained last time to me that sometimes it's not successful, in which case you have to eventually use a more natural method of a bull on the farm. Is that correct?
Yes. So the SOP we have at the farm, we use three sex doses. And if the animal is not getting pregnant, so then either we can use conventional and take a risk for that, or we can give it to a bull and bull can mate it.
Okay. All right. Interesting. SubhanAllah. And
But that's only in 5 to 7% cases at the farm, because sometimes the female, the cow or the heifer, has some sort of uh, problems inside their ovaries or the tract. So the bull is better option. Bull will get them pregnant.
and I know you've invested you invest in sort of solar machines that allow you to sort of see the pregnancy imaging machines. Tell us a little bit about that. So, obviously you've got the animal pregnant, and I think in the early days you're able to scan the animal and see the development of the fetus. Is that correct?
Yes, we do have very, very modern ultrasounds at a farm. So basically, we bought the ultra high-end ultrasound for the animals, uh, which is basically long probe. So traditionally, we have to take the ultrasound machine's head and put the arm inside the track of the animal and scan it over there with the machine we have. We just have to insert the machine and 3 to 4 inches, and we don't have to use our hand, and that's very high end. And we can get the results as short as 19 to 20 days into insemination, and we can have the result whether the cow is pregnant or not.
Okay, and why is that important? Why is knowing it earlier better?
Because the cycle of uh, their breeding is for 21 days. So if the cow is in heat today, after 21 days, it will repeat itself. So if we get the results before 21 days, we can do the insemination again. But
Okay,
if we wait for 30, 35 days, and then we do our ultrasound and we come to know that, okay, this animal is not pregnant, or there's some issue in the pregnancy, then we have to wait another 21 days. So
got it.
the gap becomes like 60 days to 65 days. So with this ultra high end ultrasound, which we have, we can reduce those days to 18 to 25.
It's amazing how like, fine-tuned it is. And obviously, because obviously another 40 days is 40 days of feeding without the return on investment, basically.
Yes, yes, yes. You're
Hmm.
correct.
Fantastic. And you touched upon this. I know when we were there was a bit of a debate going on with some of the farmers about American animals. When we went to the dairy convention, and there were representatives of American animals being imported to Pakistan. And I had a few conversations, and some people were, advocating for American animals being better than Australian animals. And you touched upon why you think Australian is better, but maybe just clarify some of the differences then between American and Australian animals.
Yes, because as I told you in the start, that American breeding pattern is milk, milk, and milk. And to be fair with the Pakistani market, the Australian animals were not uh, being imported fairly, because the animals which they got over here before were not up to standard. But the animals which we are getting, which are genomically tested, registered with Holstein associations, I'll just give you an example. In second lactation, we have an average of 45 liters over here in Pakistan with Australian animals. On the other hand, American animals would go up to 55 liters. So yes, there's a difference between milkage, but then, as I told you, the longevity and the lactations which we get with Australian animals, we don't get it with uh, American animals. American animals, you have to cull it after second lactation.
Okay.
Australian animal can go up to 6, 7 lactations. Very easy.
And obviously
So in
because
terms of ROIs, Australian animals are better because the animals are so expensive to get it over in Pakistan. that American model doesn't work over here. Yes, we can get more milk, but we don't get more progeny, more calves of those animals. So we have to look how the system works, which is better for us. And obviously, Australians are better for us.
Yeah. Absolutely. So because we're a breeding farm, and obviously our primary interest is not the milk, it's rather having a bigger, progeny and having more children. It makes a lot of sense for us to invest in Australian animals. Okay.
Yes.
Jaffer, this model that we're using, it sounds like obviously you said Hassan was the first who bought it effectively to Pakistan. And now it seems to be catching on now. I know that a number of farms since I've been involved have now moved on to this, dedicating themselves solely. How many farms at the moment are doing this just entirely genetic-led farming?
Entirely genetic-led farming, I would say 5 to 6 farms.
Okay, all right. And some of these are new starters.
Last year, yeah, everyone is new starter because we started with Riverline. So we and Riverline plus us was the third, the first. And now we have Murad, Khan Dairy. They are not 100% genomically tested, but they are going to be. Uh, and this year, they would be a new farm as well. As I told you, Hamad from Smart Dairies, you know him, good guy. He's moving to genomically tested animals as well.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. And so obviously, because you're living and breathing this every day, do you feel like there's been a bit of a switch now happening where people are now waking up to this and thinking, actually, this is worth the investment? Do you feel like this it's catching on a little bit now?
Yes, it is. People now understand what's the difference between a genomically tested registered animals and a commercial animal.
Hmm. So for Pakistani farming in general, so let's look ahead now 10, 20, 30 years or even longer. Like how do you see Pakistani farming? Do you think it's going to change from what it's currently doing? Maybe just talk to us a little bit about some of the needs of Pakistan as a
Obviously,
population.
Pakistan, in terms of data, yes, sorry to cut you. Obviously, Pakistani farming, as we say, it's in baby stage of dairy farming or breeding farming. We haven't developed that much. So we are growing. As we are growing, we are adapting to newer changes happening all around the world. Whatever they're doing in America, whatever they're doing in Australia, we are now, as I told you, we are using the same bulls which are being used over there for breeding. We are trying to get everything which is done all around the world being done in Pakistan. So these are the few farmers we are trying to do that thing. But obviously the stage, if we see it as a human pattern, so we are just baby. We are not even toddlers. So we have to do a lot
Mm, subhanallah. So it's a big challenge, isn't
catch
it?
up to those things. Yes, it is a bit challenge, but obviously that's a good opportunity to invest in. So in foreseeable future, like next 30 to 40 years, we would be working on it, and there won't be any challenges to us in terms of competition because there's a lot to be done over here.
Yeah, and definitely I think like any business opportunity, when the risk is high, the reward is high as well. So and our current investors arguably are really advantaged in that they're coming in when the risk is much lower on Gulshan Farms, but the promised returns are very favorable. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, that's correct.
Hmm. I mean,
And
just
it really depends. Uh, yeah, yeah.
no, you go, carry on.
On- And for investors, it's really important to know that uh, the demand of animals, such high demand, people are trying to switch over here. People are trying to dairies, plus the milk demand. It's unending in Pakistan at the moment.
Hmm.
As I've told you before, the milk produced in Pakistan, we are the third largest consumers of milk, and we are also very big producers of milk. But the contactless milk, milk coming from good sources, is only 1 to 3% of the milk which we drink.
Hmm.
And slowly it has to be converted onto sources which are hygienically uh, good to go. So that's only 1 to 3% of the milk. So the 97% of the milk has to come from farms.
Hmm. And
So once
Oh, you go. Sorry, I'm cutting you off. Just
Yeah,
continue.
and that's a very big gap to fill.
Mm.
Very big gap to fill. It'll take years. Once
Is
that's done, then we have a very big market. Yes.
are
Mhm.
people so the average person in Pakistan, not maybe not in Lahore, but other places, where are they getting their milk from? Are they sourcing it from local farmers, big dairies?
Yes. The culture over here in Pakistan was in villages, people have two, three cows. Uh, they give milk, and the extra milk is sold to the local milk collector, and that milk is then sold to different people in the cities. But the source of that milk is unknown. That milk is not tested for antibiotics. That milk is not energy corrected milk. The feed they are going to feed to that animal will convert into the milk. So
Mm,
that milk may be pure, and maybe it's being processed in front of the who is going to drink the milk, but who is going to test those milks? What are the nutrition values of that milk? That's nothing. And people are now understanding what they have to get. Uh, plus, um, plus the thing is now the generation is changing. Villagers and people don't want to keep cows now. It's very hard to keep a cow. Uh, so they are just switching on to milk from farm or other sources. So the farm milk has to grow.
mm. Okay. Okay. So, last few questions then. Um, you mentioned a little bit earlier that the obviously we are currently selling our remaining shares in the farm, um, but
Yes.
there will always be an opportunity for people to invest in the shipments themselves or specific animals as we increase our herd size. So maybe just talk about those two investment models that we might have, because I think for some people that I've spoken to, the shares really appealing to them if they have the money, but there's also an opportunity in a smaller investment in the shipment or in an individual cow that we have available at the farm.
Okay, so we were running two sorts of investments. One was shipping, and the other one was to get the animals over here. Shipping, the returns basically matter every year. This year, the returns on shipping investment were 6 or 7%. They were not high, but there are two ships coming, so you can rotate the money and you can get 14% uh, within 6 months. On the other hand, the animal returns are stable at 8 to 9% per annum. Those were the two opportunities. But what we have done is instead of buying full share, a full unit of 250 shares, you can now get a unit of 50 shares, which is at a lower price. So that's an attractive opportunity as well. So what you are going to get for 40,000, you are now going to get it for 10,000 as well.
Okay, so just remind people what a unit means.
Basically, we have 100 units, and the 100 units were structured like 250 shares per unit. So but we have now through our lawyers and consultation, because the unit price was really high now, 40,000. People still are buying it, and there are very few to go now. But for the people and our existing shareholders who want to buy more, or their relatives who want to buy, so what we have done is basically we have broken that unit into five small units, 50 shares each, and you can buy that as well.
And how much is that?
That's currently around 10,000 US dollars per unit of 250 shares.
Okay, fine, fine. So it's still better in terms of return, in terms of what you're getting for your money. £40,000, $40,000 investor buys you more shares, but 10,000 basically gives you easier access into the investment if that's what you need.
Yes.
Fantastic. Good, good. Um, Anything else that you think people need to know about the day-to-day farming or the animals that is specifically that would be helpful for them to make a decision about whether they want to invest or why Gulshan Farms is different? Maybe we haven't really spoken about Genetics Australia and our relationship with them.
Yeah. So once basically we are also distributors of Genetic Australia, which is a company of distributing the semen which is used for artificial insemination in cows. So we have a distribution of that company as well over in Pakistan, and that revenue is being added to Gulshan Farms as well. So it's not just the dairy or the breeding farm. We have another company as well, which is 100% owned by Gulshan Farms. So if you are buying into Gulshan Farms, you're also a part of that company. That company basically is not making profits right now, as its sole purpose is to serve and get the semen for Gulshan Farms. But uh, in future, that company will grow in sales and the profit would be there as well.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Jaffer. Really helpful and really, it's nice. I think I've spoken to a few people that have been watching these videos and they found it very helpful. And one of the things that people constantly say is that it's lovely to hear Jaffer speak because it inspires in them, confidence that actually the farm is being managed by somebody who's dedicated and very knowledgeable about it. So, I mean, we're really appreciative of all the time that you're putting into the farm.
Oh, thank you. And I've shared few videos with you and just share the videos on social media so people can see what we do every day over here.
Yeah, that's really helpful. I think I've already said to you many times that the farm is so interesting in terms of content. It's like a rich mine of content that all we need to do is have cameras rolling and that people can start watching what's going on the farm on a daily basis. I think you could be a social media sensation, to be honest with you, if you just literally hire somebody to walk around with you, give me the footage for now, and we'll just keep sharing until we get to a point where people will naturally want to know what's happening tomorrow on the farm, what's happened today. And we've had conversations where, massive decisions have been made, massively stressful, great successes, great failures, and all of that is valuable for people to watch.
Yeah, obviously, we're trying to do that as well, following your advice.
Chalo, Alhamdulillah. All right, Jafar, thank you so much, inshallah. Hopefully, we'll catch up in the next few days for another call.
All right, thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.